Hey, so let me ask you something. Have you noticed that things that didn't used to bother you actually are bothering you now, kind of getting on your nerves? Stuff that used to just be part of your day. Suddenly it feels like too much, actually, right? Not because something huge or something big or dramatic or, you know, earth shattering has happened, and not that because it's just happening all at once, right? But because somewhere along the way, somewhere in your life, somewhere in your day, your system has actually started being more sensitive to what's going on around you, right? And I keep thinking about this because I just had a recent surgery, and if you've seen any of my recent lives, I talk about it because it's so prevalent and so, in my life right now. And so, even something as simple as, if you notice, I have my shirt sleeves down because something as simple as my sleeve touching this scar, and it's my wrist and the side of my wrist and everything that I had surgery, and just my sleeve touching the scar actually makes my the nerves in my arm, they're just firing. It's like, oh my gosh, it's like, don't touch me. And when this happens, it's like my whole focus, everything I think about, even when I'm talking about it, my focus is at what I'm feeling on that arm right now or what's going on right now. And I can't even concentrate the same way until I remove whatever's irritating it. Does that sound familiar? Are you tracking with me here? And I think that's what's happening to us as well. Not because anything's wrong with us or we're weak or whatever society says, but because our system gets so saturated with everything that's going on. And the thing that used to be manageable, those things don't feel manageable anymore. Not the same way. Yes, you can manage them, but not in the same way. It probably takes more effort. It probably takes more of you buying into it, right? And then you start wondering, what's wrong with me? Because that's not me. You know, for me, that's not that Mischelle. That's not the Mischelle I know, right? Why can't I handle this the way I used to? Why can't I just step in and be the strong one like I used to? And I am still the strong one, right? But that's what I want to talk about today because I see it a lot. I hear it a lot in our conversations. And I think that's something, no, I know that's something that we need to discuss today. So I'm Michelle O'Neill, and I want to welcome you here on Break Time Live. I am so glad that you are here with me this morning, that you took a break between getting your coffee, maybe a coffee break, or you're on your way to work, riding in, whatever it is. I want to thank you for being here with me today. And I want you to realize that it's things like being in a room. I want you to imagine this with me. You're in the room and the TV's on, your phone is ringing, and you're trying to do something else at the same time. Does that feel familiar? Now, your brain is trying to decide, right? One brain, what do I focus on? What in this am I supposed to be doing? What needs my attention right now, right? How do I do this at a level that I need to do it? How do I give it the attention that it needs in order for it to be right or to be the excellence or whatever it is that I like doing? And the problem is nothing. Nothing is getting your full attention. So if the TV is on and you're listening, and I've been there. And so if you've been there, raise your hand. Go ahead, own up to it. But if the TV is on and you're trying to listen to that news report, that judge show, whatever it is, you're trying to hear what's going on there, and you miss part of what's being said because those other things are going on, right? The phone rings. You pick that up. Now you're trying to concentrate on that person you're talking to on the phone, sort of, kind of, because you're still half listening because you don't want to miss what's going on TV, right? And you're not fully getting either one of those. Now you may have to say, what can you repeat that? I didn't hear that. I'm sorry. And try to play it off like maybe it's the reception or something. And then TV, you pause it and you run it back and you try to hear what they say at the same time. Hey, we've all been there. And while all this is happening, right, you're trying to write an email or you're trying to finish dinner. And so you have to pay attention to what's going on that stove, especially if you have a gas stove. You need to pay attention because things burn quickly. And you want to see what's happening on the TV, and you're trying to hold a conversation. So now, maybe something happens like you miss an ingredient, you forgot to put the egg in, you forgot to put the salt in, whatever it is, or you say the wrong thing in the email and you push send and it's like, oh my gosh, I can't pull that back. You try to pull it back, but too late, they already read it. Or or maybe, you know, you burn something, right? Whatever it is, you have made some type of mistake, and it's a harmless mistake. You feel like, hey, but it's more than that, because sometimes these mistakes, they can actually hurt you if they're big enough. Think about it. That email that you sent to your boss that you didn't check, and it's something that you didn't really want to say. Just you ever write an email because you want to get something out, but you don't mean to really send it, but you want to say it to that person, and you accidentally hit send. That's what I'm talking about, right? So that's when you start realizing, when these things are going on, that something has actually shifted in the way you process things, shifted in the way you handle things, shifted in the way you feel about things. And it's not just that life is busy. I know we always say, hey, life is busy. Life is busy for all of us. But the thing is that your system doesn't have the same tolerance for competing input like it used to. I've always said that multitasking is a fallacy, and it is. And I try to tell everyone I know that what it really is task switching. And somewhere in that task switching, when you switch from one task to another, it takes you longer to re engage in each task. And so, somewhere in this way, like I said, your system doesn't have the same tolerance as it used to. You know, I used to think that this was all part of getting older. I really did. Uh, we don't carry everything the way we used to. We don't remember things the way we used to. It's just part of getting older. And I used to think that maybe as we age, that the mental tolerance that we have just gets lower. I noticed it in my mom. Her tolerance for input has definitely gone down. And she's 90 years old, so I get it. So her ability to take a lot in at once, her ability to process things has slowed down some. But she deserves it. She's 90 years old. That's what she always tells me. She says, girl, I don't care no more. I'm 90. I can do what I want to do. And you know what? Go right ahead, mom, because I'm hanging in there with you. But I've learned something recently that has made this make so much sense to me, understanding what's going on with us. When I took her to her hearing doctor to get hearing aids, right? They explained something to me that I had always wondered. A lot of times we think that we're losing our hearing, and what that specialist told me is that it's not always that you're hearing less. Get this. Sometimes it just takes time for what you hear to get processed by your brain longer. In other words, that that road that it goes through, that neuron or whatever it is, look, I'm not a doctor. Whatever it is that it gets from your hearing to your brain, whatever happens there, it's slower. It's taking longer to process. It's taking longer to get there. So you may hear it, you hear something, but you haven't fully processed it yet. And I think that what's happening to a lot of us is not always that we can't handle life. And I'm not saying whether you're 40, whether you're 30, whether you're 65, whatever you are, we're still handling life. And there is so much coming down that channel, so much infiltrating our day and what we need to take care of, and what we need to process, that things get lost in the shuffle. It's I have to make a determination on what I can take in right now. And so something's going to drop along the way, and your system is still trying to process that one thing while three more things have already come in behind it. And you're deciding, oh my gosh, what am I supposed to take in? And eventually it starts to feel like, well, like a stampede. Think about it. If there's something major to happen, a fire or whatever, and there's one door that everyone, or even three doors that everyone is trying to get to, they're all going to rush to get there. But in the process, some of them are going to get knocked over, some are going to get stepped on, because they're all trying to get to that one thing, the brain. And too many things are trying to move there at once. And what happens is that thought gets trampled, knocked aside. It gets dropped. Something gets missed. And usually it's our clarity, because we're trying to process everything. Or it's our patience, or your ability to actually stay present on the one thing, focus on the one thing. And that's why it feels like you're less tolerant, because you're saying internally, wait, just wait a minute, hold up. And it may not be that you're failing or you're weaker or whatever it is. It may be that your system has been asked to process more, far faster than it was ever meant to. We're not a machine. We're not a computer. And you know what? Sometimes our computers get stuck in that same stampede. Your computer ever freeze on you when you're trying to get it to do something? And listen, if you don't understand what's happening, you start making it mean something, something personal. And that's what I want you to get. You start telling yourself that, dang, I'm getting older. I'm losing my sharpness. That's what I used to be known for. I'm not as quick as I used to be. I'm not as useful as I want to be or as I used to be. Something is wrong with me. Something's not quite right. And that's the scary part. Because nobody really told us this part. Nobody told us that there may be seasons in life where you're processing change. And yes, it's even happening sooner and earlier because of what we're dealing with, or the amount of things that we're dealing in and day out. And I see it, person, woman after woman after woman, men, everyone. Nobody told us what it feels like when your system is carrying so much input that your clarity starts getting affected or even infected. So instead of recognizing overload, recognizing what's actually going on, because you should be able to handle everything. You're superwoman. I can do this. I've done it all my life. But have you realized that over the period and times of your life, the load has been getting bigger, heavier, more? But what happens is you start questioning your relevance. Am I still that girl? Am I still important? You start questioning your sharpness. You start questioning your ability. And that gets heavy fast because now it's not that life just feels loud. Now you are making it mean something. You're making it mean, you're giving meaning to it. And the meaning that you're giving to it is I'm slipping. I'm not the girl I used to be. And that's a dangerous place for high performing women because we've built so much on our ability, and our identity is built around being sharp and being capable and able to handle what's in front of us. We're that person. You want something done? I got you. You need that? Oh, it's done. You want it done right? I'm your person, right? So when that starts to feel different, when you start to question that, when the first assumption isn't usually my system needs more space, but something's wrong with me, something's not happening like it used to, yeah, I want you to get this. Things are changing. Absolutely. And I don't care if you're 40 or 60, we go through these seasons. Our body changes. Oh, yeah. Our mind changes. Our nervous system changes. And that's all part of life. I'm not trying to downplay that. This is real. But what we have to learn in the middle of this process is don't fight it. And I don't mean give up. What I'm saying is stop acting like nothing has changed when something clearly has. It has. And instead, make room for it. Make room for what this season requires. Make room for what our system is telling you. Hello, listen to me. Make room for what works now. Find out what works now, how you can do things different, how you can make things work for where you are and who you are now, because every season asks something different of us. And maybe the question isn't, what am I losing? Maybe the question is, what am I gaining here? What am I learning new? How am I learning to process through this? That in some way I can teach someone else. What is this season teaching me about life, about myself? What works for me now? How do I work with this instead of against it? Because just because something changes doesn't mean we're done. Because it may just mean you need a different way of moving through this season than you did the last one. And when I said that, I thought about wine. And I remember saying that saying, I'm like fine wine, I get better with time. But the thing is, as it goes through the process, there's change. And I remember when I was young, my mom used to make pineapple wine. And she'd cut up the pineapple and she put the spear in the bottles, well, in the jars. And she put sugar in the jars. And I really don't remember the process, but I remember over days how a liquid would form and it would change. And then there was a fermenting. And then eventually, somewhere down the road, there was wine. And that was something wonderful. It was something that came from that pineapple. And along the way, in the process, we got something on the other end that, in ways, was so much better, tastier, fulfilling. We are getting better with time. Time in learning, time in growing, and time in aging. And I want you to know that that's not weakness. Learning something different, learning something better, learning how to be innovative, that's wisdom. And I want to share with you something that I am opening up for you. It's a new community, a new container, a new space called the Undivided, where we take the time to learn the patterns that are holding us back, that are infiltrating our lives. And we're learning in real time how to interrupt those, how to work through our days, through the chaos, and through the saturation in real time, and learn how to process through them. And I want to invite you there. The link is in the bottom or in the notes. Until next time, I am thrilled that I got to spend this time with you. I'm Mischelle O'Neill, and you are on Break Time Live. Until next time and next conversation, take care. Bye bye.